And despite being a pretty tiny person stature-wise, which like will become relevant to the forensics later, so support the arts. But like, let's talk about the blood.
Have I told you about the most spontaneous thing I've ever done?
And it wasn't ordering a ribeye at lunch?
No. Oh, it splashed on my face.
Oh no, lick it. They order Chinese food, they start drinking wine. You know, wine and Chinese food go together like fucking wine and crime, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. It already ended.
And also, don't worry, the way that you're fearful it ends is also spot on.
Okay, great.
Viewer discretion is advised. Okay, here we go. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where two friends and a cat chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents. I'm Amanda.
Oh, I'm Lucy.
How are you today, Lucy?
I'm feeling pretty good. I got a new sweater on.
It's really cute. I'm obsessed with your new sweater.
Thank you. It was also almost 60 degrees here today, so I feel pretty great, except for the whole like existential climate crisis. You know,
it's an El Nino year, so it's gonna be unseasonably warm, but also the Earth is dying.
Yeah, I'm trying not to focus on the latter because it's really detrimental to my mental health.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're watching this on Patreon, I still have my Christmas tree up in February because I broke my foot before I had the chance to take it down.
I just noticed that.
So fortunately, my tree is like pink and white. So now it's just a Valentine tree.
It is. Yeah.
Whatever. I have little pink Christmas trees. Your husband gets his
shit together to take it down for you.
He's out of town, and then he'll do it. But I have my pink trees.
Oh, my God. And your beans.
My little beanie.
Fuck.
But yeah, so that's why you're seeing my tree. It is what it is.
Yeah. I'm focusing on your cat, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. You wouldn't have even noticed that there was a tree there because the puss is out.
The puss is flying.
Tiny orange puss sitting on my shoulder right now. But today we have a very special fan pick from our lovely friend Maddie Miller.
Maddie Miller,
who chose the topic of asshole artists.
Yes.
And I do have a funny little comment from Maddie in my case because I'm doing their fan recommendation case of like a quote from one of their professors in art school that like solidified their love for the genre.
Yes.
I'm very excited to share it with you.
I can't wait.
It's really good. It's really good.
Thank you for blessing us with that, Maddie Miller.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to dive in. My case today is nuts. I'm surprised that I hadn't heard of this person. Although I say that every time and I've never heard of anyone. So
yeah, well, as you say, you're a bad true crime buff.
I am. So I really shouldn't be surprised anymore. But and yeah, for the folks who are on Patreon at $5 or more and are seeing this video episode, I am not in my office because I just had surgery and I can't do stairs. So without like crawling. So Bill moved my recording equipment upstairs to the kitchen. So that's why you're seeing a little different background today.
Yeah.
But don't worry, Lucy's haunted doll is still lurking behind her. Oh, God. Are Tressa and I wearing the same hat?
Yes. You're both not well.
We are not fucking well.
No, she's not well because she doesn't have eyes. What's your excuse?
I have so many excuses.
That's true. That's true.
I have a handful of excuses, which is actually a perfect segue for our pairing today. Because two things. One, the universe has kind of decided to take a huge hot dump down my family's throat this weekend. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know what I'm talking about. So I wanted a fucking drink, and I haven't had a fucking drink in weeks because of surgery. And I have not had any Oxy today, so I am allowed to have a fucking drink.
Good for you. Yeah, don't mix the two.
No. I'm playing it safer than that, at least.
Good.
So, yeah, this also means I probably can't take it tonight before bed, but I'll see how I'm feeling. But that's probably a good thing because I don't want to be visited by the pale man who apparently shows up in my oxy dreams.
I got like kicked off Instagram because of this.
You guys,
can just tell him.
The pale man. Okay, so the other night, I had a nightmare where I was like feeding Blanche, my rabbit, who, for those who don't know, is an albino white lion head rabbit with like red hair and red eyes. And I was feeding him and like talking to him in his cage. And then before my eyes, he started to like anamorph into just like a pale, naked man with red eyes, like stretching out. He was disgusting. And I was like freaking out and I ran. And then he was like lurking and chasing me around my house. And I was like trying to scream for my husband to be like, pale man, like get rid of him. And Bill like couldn't hear me. And I was trying to like look at Bill and be like, fucking pale, like giving him eyes like pale man is right there. Like, why are you not doing anything about this? And then suddenly I was getting in my bed and I thought I was getting in bed with Bill, but it was pale man had like replaced Bill in my bed. And he was trying to attack me and I was fighting him. And I was like choking him. And in my dream, I was screaming like, I will kill you. And I guess I woke up whispering, I will kill you at like 2 a.m. in bed with my poor sleeping husband. Immediately went to Threads and was like, no one's awake. I have to talk to somebody about this. I can't go back to sleep. So I like threaded about Pale Man and then texted Robbie, who also never sleeps. And I was like, you need to comfort me because like the Pale Man is in my house. To which Robbie was no help at all. He was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. It's such good writing for the next episode of Ghost Wax. I was like, fuck you.
No shit. Robbie would have just ate that up.
Yeah, don't use my haunting Pale Man nightmare. So now I'm like, do I have nighttime like post-surgery nerve pain and just bear it? Or do I have a date with Pale Man and
I risk Pale Man?
Do I risk Pale Man with my 5 fucking milligrams of oxycodone?
But you posted something on Instagram about it, and I had already heard the story, and so I tried to comment, I will kill you.
Lucy got banned from Instagram.
And your comment goes against our community guidelines.
It's like, you guys just don't get it.
It's like, it's an inside joke. Don't be such a fucking downer.
Such narc. A prude. Such a narc. So I'm hoping that I don't meet Pale Man tonight. But I am drinking a little variation of a cocktail called the Grand O.
Oh.
To help me fight the Pale Man. So you know how much I love Grand Marnier.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Grand Marnier. It's a little soda water. It's like a splash of orange juice, a little bit of lemon juice, and ice. That's it.
Oh.
It's so easy. It's so refreshing. It's very simple. They recommend 1.5 ounces of Grand Marnier. If I'm being honest about how I made this, I filled my tumbler with ice, which is now melted because I did pour this cocktail like an hour ago. Because I couldn't wait. I wanted to start sipping it. I filled my tumbler with ice, and then I started pouring in Grand Marnier. I filled it like halfway with Granny, and then I was like, oh God, like I spaced out.
Hey,
and then just
if
like
there's ice in it, there's no way to measure it. Just go with what feels right in your heart.
Go with your gut, scream inside your heart. And then, I just put like a little splash of OJ, squeezed in some lemon juice, and topped off the rest with soda water. And I gotta say, she works.
That sounds delicious. Also, when before we started recording, you lifted that glass to your face, and I was like, what?
Why is it blue?
Monstrosity are you drinking?
Yeah, you could add blue curacao if you really feel like it, I guess.
UV blue.
UV blue. But I also wanted to just chat for a minute about Grand Marnier because it is my like go-to alcohol.
Oh.
And I know that I have I know that I've like mentioned my love of Granny before, but I've never really dove in to where this even really comes from.
Let's dive, baby.
So we're going to dive for just a minute. Grand Marnier that was founded or like started in 1827.
Oh, shit.
So that's almost 2 centuries ago. Jean-Baptiste L'Apostole built a high quality fruit liqueur distillery in Neuville-le-Château, a small city outside of Paris. And this distillery just like popped off. People were like, holy shit, this is really fucking good. Then 1876, Jean-Baptiste's granddaughter Julia marries Louis Alexandre Marnier. And the Marnier family were wine merchants who started distributing this product, obviously under a different name. And so like they got married and like forged a family booze empire, basically.
My dream.
Yeah. By 1880, they, started this whole orange cognac situation.
Speaking of orange, can we talk about this right now? We both have our orange cats.
We do. We do have our orange cat. Ray looks deranged.
Yes, he is.
So they got this idea, which was like the birth of Grand Marnier as we know it now. They were already kind of in the cognac business, but then they didn't, I don't want to say discovered because they didn't fucking discover it, but were introduced to a rare variety of oranges from the Caribbean. And so they thought, wow, this could be like a really good combo to combine these specific oranges with this liqueur recipe. And like, voila, you have Grand Marnier in 1880.
Yum.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that old. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could have inferred from the font because it's an old ass font. But
in fact, it's so old, by beans, that the bottle design that we know and love even now was started in 1892, and they have not changed it.
Wow, good for them.
Like you can look at photos on their website of like original bottles, and they are literally the same. They've just changed like the process of printing their labels.
Cool.
So the label looks a little bit older, but they always did the seal. I think it used to be wax. Now it's just like film. They always did the ribbon and then the wax seal on the front. They still honor that. This used to be gold, but now it's red. And I think that they have different wax seal colors for like different versions of Grand Marnier. So yeah, like I just thought that was super cool. It's like when you get it right, you just keep it. Like what would be the point?
Why fix what ain't broke?
Yep. So yeah, I guess Grand Marnier was like a huge part of like the Art Nouveau movement in Paris between 1880 and 1914. It was super, super popular. And they kind of like launched this bottle. And then there's like myths about how this was like the shape inspiration for like the Eiffel Tower, the Metro, the opera. It's like, it's like they ushered in this kind of Art Nouveau style.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen like old like ad prints for Grand Marnier that are like the woman with the big orange like around the bottle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like wispy. It reminds me of like the times of like what the fuck is the liquor that makes you hallucinate?
Oh, yes. I think of Vincent Van Gogh. It's not Fernet. Yeah. It's like green.
Yeah.
And we always heard things, absinthe, that it'll put holes in your brain, bitch.
Kind of reminds me of that, like, sort of, if you think of like an absinthe poster.
Yeah. It's very like
wispy vibe.
The bottle design is very reminiscent of like an apothecary.
Yes.
Which I think is super cool. And then
in glass.
Yeah. In 1927, they released for their 100th anniversary this really cool line of special editions, and the bottles are gorgeous. I have to imagine that if anyone, they're definitely collector's items. Like if anybody has any of these, they're probably worth a fuck ton of money because they don't make those limited edition bottles anymore. But yeah, then they expanded their distribution essentially worldwide. Like they crossed to the other side of the Atlantic in the 20th century, and it just started getting used in cocktails all over the world. And now you can essentially find it anywhere that there is alcohol.
That's so cool.
I know. It was such a cool little story. So I just wanted to share that. And before we dive into, the background and psych on asshole artists and toast to Maddie Miller, I just wanted to share some fun facts about my favorite booze.
I like that. And actually,
are you drinking anything?
Yes. I have this can.
Cute.
I think it's pronounced neutral.
I would imagine.
Natural, but it's like Nurtle.
Nurtle.
It's a seltzer. It's a vodka seltzer, real juice. And I have the peach lemonade variety.
Freaking yum.
I've never had it before. I got a 6-pack at the grocery store. Well, an 8-pack earlier today.
I love that you're trying out all these fun new canned beverages like Mom Water and Neutral.
Now that I can drink again, I just go to the store and I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
Yeah, welcome back, baby. Well, do you want to do the honors of cracking and give us
I really do.
A nice crack?
Okay, ready?
Let's do it.
Here's my neutral crack. Oh, it splashed on my face.
Oh no, lick it. Also, Beans definitely drank out of my booze cup earlier when we were recording ads. So if she's just not able to walk on a straight line later, it's because I'm a bad mom.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
To motherhood.
To motherhood. All right, welcome back. Lucy.
Yes.
Are you ready to give us our background in psych this week for asshole artists?
I do, and I actually am pretty heavy on the psych this week. I wanted to really deliver.
You can't really talk about art without the brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah. Take it away, babe.
Or assholery.
That too.
So today we're going to be exploring the intersection between artists and assholes.
We're going to be exploring the asshole today.
That Venn diagram heavily overlaps.
Uh-oh.
So a study performed at the University of North Carolina found that humility negatively correlates with creativity.
So if you're like too humble, you're probably not creative. You have to be a little bit of a narcissist. Is that what it's saying?
Yes. So creatives tend to be less modest and more arrogant, even though they tend to be curious, broad-minded, and open to new experiences.
I'll take it.
So, yep. Another study at the Kellogg School of Management asked their subjects to draw the letter E on their foreheads. And so researchers found that the more power someone possessed, I'm unclear about like if it was actual power, like maybe they were higher up at work or they were just more self-confident, but might have been both of those things. But the more power they possessed, the more likely they were to draw the letter from their perspective. So the letter E would have been backwards to a viewer.
So hold on. If I go like this, is that backwards for me or backwards for you?
That's backwards for you.
Oh. I think about other people.
Exactly. So this is because powerful people
do it like this.
This is because powerful people have more trouble seeing things from other people's perspectives. Power causes individuals to give too much weight to their own perspective and therefore will have more trouble adjusting or even considering other people's points of view.
Okay.
So that does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, E. If I were to draw an E,
I
think I would just assume that it would be so that people looking at my forehead could see the letter E.
Yeah.
Well, you and I are...
We're mirrored.
We're mirrored. So actually, I'm wrong. You were doing it from your own perspective, the way you were drawing it.
Was I? Because it feels backwards to me. I feel like I was drawing it like a 3 if I was looking at it. I don't know if we are mirrored. Anyway, it's fine. There's no way to know. This is very confusing.
We are mirrored the way that we see each other in this camera.
Are we?
So if you think about, so draw your vertical line down the middle, and then draw your 3 lines. Which direction are you drawing your 3 lines?
Toward the left. Like right to left.
Yeah.
That would be for someone else to read it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
what I was doing.
you are less creative and more humble.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I accept.
Yeah.
That
I
was
think that's
really
like the
weird.
better
What
side
a weird
to be on.
activity we just did.
I know. Well, it was confusing because we had these cameras involved.
John, don't tighten any of that up. Just
No.
let us look stupid.
Leave it loose.
Leave it real loose.
Keep it loose. According to the American Psychology Association, when it comes to art, there are two ways of seeing the world.
Okay.
So non-artists can only draw like icons of objects rather than the objects themselves.
Fair.
So, for example, if you were to draw an apple, imagine
It would
yourself
be
drawing
like
an apple.
a shitty emoji version.
Yeah. So most people would draw an archetypal side view of an apple rather than like the curves, the colors, the shadows that we see with our eyeballs.
1000%. I am not an artist type. I cannot draw for shit. You're pretty good though.
I feel like I'm pretty good.
You are pretty good.
Artists have a special way of translating what they see into more of like patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was just talking to Corey about this earlier today. We were talking about like when it comes close to Christmas time, when you got like your Sears catalog or like your Delia's catalog, and you'd circle the things that you wanted.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, yes, I totally did that. But I also illustrated a full list in full marker color of exactly what I wanted. And then on Christmas like day or like the afternoon, like after we opened our gifts, I would make another page of drawings of what I got.
I think you're just a serial killer.
I just like to draw.
My husband's an artist. This painting behind me is one of his.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really showing you this very well because I can't just move my entire computer up, but we have a bunch of pieces of his.
You could, but you're not, and that's okay.
I could, but I'm not. Yeah. You're right. I'm humble enough to be like, fuck that.
Yeah, but I said that to Corey, and he was like, oh, so you could like compare and contrast and then like illustrate a full list of the things that you didn't get and like stick it under your parents' pillow.
Yup.
Like, I think I just like to draw.
Completely picture you doing that.
I just like to indulge in the things that I wanted and the things that I got. Like
of course.
I put more effort into those drawings than like thank yous or anything.
I mean,
like
essentially, you just invented bullet journaling. That's like all it is. You were just doing
I was
that
really
first.
into bullet journaling.
Mhm.
I have my bullet journal right here.
I believe it. I
Here's
bet
my
it's
bullet
cute.
journal.
It's so cute.
It says "Believe Women" really big on the front.
I love it.
Yeah, I have a whole. Yeah, I have my whole. I have your social security number in here somewhere.
You sure do.
Yep.
Maybe burn that.
No. I have all of my passwords in like a code. It's like a hieroglyph password system.
You're such a fucking lunatic. I love it. It's
Someone's
very
gonna
secure.
break in my house and steal my password notebook. Like,
no,
it's
that's not
probably
what.
safer than having it.
That bullet journal is not what they're after. I promise you. That's a very safe spot.
I know.
You're good.
But yes, I do. I was into bullet journaling. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll kind of get to it. Okay. Icons, apples. Okay. A researcher named Steinvoet at the University of Oslo conducted a study where she found that when tasked to view pictures, the eyes of artists tend to scan the entire picture, including like the empty spaces. So they would see like where things are placed within the space.
Okay.
But non-artists focused more on the objects themselves. They weren't concerned about the areas where there weren't objects.
Sure.
This observation suggests that non-artists were more busy turning the images into concepts, where the artists were taking notes of like colors and shadows and arrangements of the overall tableau.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
According to John Holland, who's an American psychologist, there are 6 personality types, and this is going to give you major like middle school family and consumer sciences vibes.
I can't wait to tag myself. Let's go.
Yeah, okay. So these are the 6 personality types: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, intriguing, and conventional.
I'm probably just social without even knowing the details.
Yeah, we don't.
Let's
Let's
confirm.
These are often called the Holland codes or the Holland occupational themes, and they refer to a taxonomy of interests based on a theory of careers and vocational choice.
I was literally just going to say, why do I feel like this sounds like our aptitude
middle school
tests?
family and yes,
yeah, where we took like what career would be right for you.
I think I was supposed to be a teacher, which is funny because I was a teacher for a year and I
hated it.
Didn't love it.
I don't remember
I like
what
learning.
I got.
I'd rather be a student.
Mine was probably like, you won't make it to 35. just
Don't
bother. Give up. Don't invest too heavily in this. That's our honest recommendation.
You know what? Just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy
Have fun,
the ride.
honey.
Your career is a Make-A-Wish kid at Disneyland.
Yeah, this is a mess. You just try to have fun. That's our recommendation.
Try to just soak it in.
If you graduate, it'll be a miracle. Or I don't remember because I didn't even attend that day because I was skipping class so much that I just didn't have a future career path.
So it would have just been assigned to you to just enjoy the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Will someone go outside to the playground and tell Amanda to just enjoy the
fucking
ride?
Come back in because recess was over 3 hours ago. She's still making potions in the back lot.
You gotta call Suzanne again.
God.
Put her on the bus.
Seriously.
The artistic personality trait known as the creator, the creative creator type, frequently involves working with ideas and requires an extensive amount of thinking. Boring.
Yeah.
Just kidding. They are energized by using their imagination and like to express themselves through their creativity. Most creators shy away from routine. They like unstructured environments and they like work that can be done without following a clear set of rules.
This does track. For me.
It does track for you. I consider myself a creative person, but I love rules.
Mm-hmm. Schedules,
time frames.
Mm-hmm.
I thrive off of that. It really
you love a routine.
I do love a routine. It bothers me when other people can't like abide to a routine. You know what I mean?
Yep. And even if some of us can't like abide to a routine, we need to respect yours.
Yes, and that's the rule following portion of my personality.
Yep. And like, because I've never been one who can really abide by a routine, but I can respect your routine. And so we don't have like beef around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it
exactly.
is what it is.
Yeah.
And because I don't need to abide by such a routine, I'm totally fine like defaulting to your routine.
It's not conflicting.
No, it just works for me where I'm like, well, I have no fucking stability in my everyday life. So like, I'm going to follow your routine.
But
it works for me.
But I still consider myself to be a creative person.
I absolutely agree.
Maybe I just fall into some of these other categories more than others.
I have to imagine there is a fuck ton of overlap and you're never just one of these things.
Yeah.
Humans are too complicated to be in 6 categories. It's not possible.
Yeah. You're part of a pie chart.
Yep.
So personality traits used to describe creators include originality, creativity, independence, intuitiveness, sensitivity, imagination, and spontaneity.
Cute. Okay.
Have I told you about the most spontaneous thing I've ever done?
And it wasn't ordering a ribeye at lunch?
No.
What was it?
That was pretty spontaneous, though. I cannot
Was it
believe
going to
I did that.
China?
I was so hungry.
Yeah.
No. It was like I want to say like 12 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago. I'm living in my apartment and I was looking out the window and I saw a little dog running down the street.
Yes.
And I was like, I have to go save that dog. I went through a phase of like saving animals. I saved a deer. I saved a bird. This was all within like a month. I fully saved a deer. I chased it back into the woods away from the highway. On foot. Anyway.
Okay. So you bolted out of your apartment and chased a dog?
I just grabbed my keys so I wouldn't get locked out of my apartment. I think I was barefoot. I ran out of my apartment. I was going to catch this little dog. By the time I got outside, I couldn't find the dog. So I was like, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to go for a drive. So I hopped in my car, didn't have my phone, didn't have shoes, didn't have my wallet, my purse, anything. I just went for a little drive around town.
If you had gotten into an accident, they would have had to identify you by your teeth.
Yes.
Well, that's no, because you didn't own your car.
So spontaneous. That's why I felt so free.
Wow.
I had no identifying information. I never did see that dog again.
That dog, first of all, wasn't real. You hallucinated that dog. It Pied Pipered you out of your house.
It did.
But that is totally the kind of shit that, like, that's how a serial killer would get me. It's like, let a dog run through my backyard, and I'm immediately going to be like, yeah, I got to go save that dog.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how they'll get you.
I will throw my moving car into park
Yeah.
on a busy street to go save that dog.
Yeah, you called me crying once on the way back to Iowa because you'd hit a squirrel, I think it was.
Babe, I was driving from Iowa to Minnesota and I exploded the squirrel on 35.
Yeah,
what squirrel crosses 35?
That squirrel was that squirrel took its own life.
And
that was not your fault.
She would have made it, but she panicked and doubled back, and that's when she hit me. She hit me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I felt it.
Boom, boom. So upset.
No. Yes. Yes. It was awful. I actually don't want to think about it. It was bad.
Don't.
We've called you weeping. I called my mother weeping. I called Corey, and he was like, I'm in a work meeting. Is this important? And I was like, yes.
I'm carrying your child, and she's complicit in this squirrel murder because she's inside me.
I'm a murderess.
We're murderers.
I murdered a squirrel. I popped that squirrel.
Blech.
I hope she died fast. It felt like it.
I think if you're popped like a balloon, it's probably pretty quick.
From my tires, it felt like she died real quick.
Oh my God.
Okay, so moving on from the psychology of artists and assholes, let's talk about art colonies, which is the safe haven for both artists and assholes to be who they truly are.
Is this like a hippie commune artist community? We live together, we create together kind of thing?
Yeah, honey.
Okay.
You got to be a certain type to live there.
Yeah, the type that doesn't require running water to wash yourself, for one.
Well, a lot of these had running water. They were like full ass. Okay, we'll get to it.
All of these artist colonies should be like sponsored by Lumi deodorant because I'm sure they reek.
I know.
Reek.
So art colonies emerged in the 19th century as artists started leaving the cities, the more urban areas, for like the countryside, like we're getting back to the land.
Well, how the fuck can you even afford a studio in a big city as an artist? Like,
I mean, 1800s. It's like the 19th century. You're not really, you're like on the cusp of like industrialization.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about the getting outside the box, man.
Being like inspired by your surroundings.
Back to nature. Like the urban areas were getting so industrialized that you're like, oh. I think it had less to do with like cost of living.
Price. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking through a very modern lens, but now that you're clarifying when this became a thing.
I think it was more about the ideology about it. Also, I think that artists at that time probably made more money than artists today.
Now, yeah.
You know, adjusting for inflation and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
these-
inflation and also things that we could never see coming, like the internet and fucking AI. I can't imagine
AI.
trying to make a living now as like a visual artist when
Mhm.
the market is so saturated. I mean, I think about this with podcasting. Like anybody can create, and I think that that's so amazing. And I don't want to gatekeep any of these industries. I really do believe that like the more creatives there are and the more exposure we have to all of these people's incredible talents,
Absolutely.
like when the water rises, everybody rises, you know. I do believe that, but I think that there are also challenges that come with that, where it's like, how do you get yourself discovered and start to make a living when you're competing against millions of people around? It's global that have access to your work. It's hard.
I think that is a super valid argument. Also, when it comes to AI, that argument, especially when it comes to like artists, is like exponentially more applicable.
Yes, because it's cannibalizing existing work to create its own automated ideas.
Yeah, it's also fucking robot. It's not real
freaks me out.
people.
No,
like,
so you don't need to pay a chatbot.
should we just chatbot this podcast?
Honestly, that would actually be fucking hilarious
It
if
would
we
be
did an
really
AI episode where we like gave a chatbot
Just to
prompts
write us a script.
and had them write us a script and had us read it. Not that I want to like platform AI, but that does sound really fun.
It would be really fucking funny. That could be like a good drunk dive or a good gag segment.
That's a great idea. Maybe we'll do that for the Patreon, the Pates.
Cool. The Pates. Pates, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so these artists that moved to artist compounds, art colonies, they wanted to preserve the simple life and they found beauty in their natural surroundings. The majority of the first art colonies were located in France, the Netherlands, and Germany, and soon spread to the United States.
This tracks that they started in France.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, the city.
It's so foul.
overwhelming. It's polluted.
I mean, it fucking is.
Yes.
To be fair.
According to the Traditional Fine Arts Organization, some of the more well-known historic American art colonies include the Birdcliff Colony, bird with a Y, Beardcliff.
Like a person's name.
Yeah, but bird with a Y and cliff with an E.
Where is that?
It's just outside of Woodstock, New York. Ever heard of it?
Of course. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This shit's upstate.
Yeah, this has got old money.
Yeah.
This is the oldest operating arts and crafts colony in America. So in 1902, construction of the Birdcliff Art Colony began on Mount Guardian, just outside of Woodstock, New York. When construction finished in 1903, the colony had 30 buildings. So this is like a whole...
That's big.
It's a colony. It's a village. This colony is often referred to as the textbook example of a utopian arts and crafts community. Okay. But also, I feel like an art colony feels a little bit kind of stuck up, like a little bit self-aware.
Right. Yeah.
But when you throw crafts into
I was just going to say, now it's sounding like hippie summer camp. And that sounds fun.
I'm in it for the crafts.
I'm fully in it for the crafts, which is art.
It is art.
In its own way.
But it's something about mentioning the crafts portion of it that makes it a little bit more appealing, a little more down to earth, a little bit more accessible. I'm here with that.
A
little bit more popsicle sticks.
Yes. I want to make those like popsicle stick yarn, like cross weavings.
Wasn't it called like the Eye of Jesus or something really religious?
Ew, probably. I want to make GIMP bracelets. I want to make those beaded
lizards.
Lizards. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Remember those beaded lizards?
I loved that all the cool girls had those on their backpacks.
Yeah.
We need to bring those back.
A cool girl taught me how to make those.
1000%. I never hung out
Morning
with enough cool
Explorers.
girls to ever learn how to make those. So now I
hung
have
out-
to heal my inner child and learn how to make it.
I hung out with one cool girl one time. She taught me how to make a beaded lizard. I never looked back. I never hung out with her again. I got
You
what I
never
needed.
looked back at her as you ran away from her after learning your skill. Is what you mean.
to go show Scott how to make it. I didn't look back. I left her in my dust. Just kidding. I
Just picture me like, thanks, bye. Like scurrying away. Never speaking to her again.
Thanks, Alexandra. What was the cool girl name? Tiffany.
Oh,
Samantha.
Samantha was Kelly was such a cool girl name in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
So many cool girls.
Every Jennifer was a
Natalie.
cool girl.
Oh, damn. They knew how to make beaded lizards. Let me fucking tell you. And they were also like so good at the GIMP keychains that were like the spiraling, like that like plastic floss that you could like fold over and knot.
I
in a
remember the
specific way.
plastic. Yeah.
You could make these like like Stussy S on crack 3D like spiral.
Oh,
keychains.
damn.
I learned how to make
Okay.
some of those, but I was never as like hardcore.
Oh, I know. They look kind of braided.
Yes, I feel like we're going to give Andrea, our production manager, and John, our editor, a run for their money
Heart
trying
attack.
trying to find fucking photos of whatever the fuck we're talking about for our
I want to make those fucking lizards with those big, like the chunky beads.
Yes, we're fucking doing this. This is like 100% happening.
Yeah.
Right, Beans? Beans is back.
I remember once I tried to make a lizard, but I like fucked it up and it just turned into like a triangle and I just called it a manta ray.
Yes, accurate. Because you're an artist, bitch. You're a fucking artist.
I'm an
And just 'cause
artist.
they
I'm thinking
can't
outside
see
the
it.
box.
Yeah.
I'm a
If
creator.
they can't see it, that's their fucking problem, not yours.
Move to Beardcliff, okay?
I made this at Beer to Cliff.
Okay. Beardcliff had 30 buildings. Textbook example, blah, blah, blah. Beardcliff had many notable guests, including Leon Barzin, Bob Dylan, Ava Hesse.
Sure.
She was a sculptor. You'd probably recognize her stuff. It's like a lot of it's really like hairy looking.
Cool.
It's
I
like-
love texture and sculpture like that, where it looks like creepy little details.
Yeah. So she lived in like she was creating in like the 60s, 70s. She died at the young age of 34.
Oh, no.
She had like some brain thing, but she created a whole bunch of shit.
Cool.
And it is very well known. It's recognizable. You'd recognize it.
Sick.
And Helen Hayes, who I didn't Google. In 1976,
Nailed it.
the colony was given to the Woodstock Guild of Craftsmen and is still operating today under the name Woodstock Beardcliff Guild. So I think you can go visit it.
We must. And we have to go and make these lizards and be kicked out on day. Like, I don't know what you thought this was, but this is not for you, ladies. Cap Beer to Cleave.
Crafts. Arts
Crafts.
and crafts.
We're here for crafts.
We here
I don't know
for
why
the
we're doing
crafts.
this accent. It's in upstate New York.
Beardcliff.
Beer to Cleave.
Started in the Netherlands.
That's true. If we're going to
We're
blend
the-
in, we have to sound like
Totally.
Dutch, like dopey little Dutch ladies.
I'm already there. I'm way ahead of you. Okay.
I'm in.
Next one you might be familiar with is the Taos Art Colony. Taos.
Why would I be familiar with that?
I don't know. Taos. Taos. Isn't that how you say it? In like New
Taos.
Mexico?
Sure.
Okay. I gave you way too much credit. Okay.
You really did.
Taos was New Mexico's premier art colony and the first significant art colony in the American West. Its founders, Ernest Blumenschein and Bert Phillips,
And Bert Taos.
were on a painting expedition together when their carriage broke down near Taos in 1898. They got a flat tire.
They ate each other to survive, and on that spot,
I
they
wish.
built an artist colony.
The remaining one built an artist colony. The one that was left.
This is where Taos shows up, eats both of these fucking idiots, and uses their shit to make an artist colony. This is the only play-by that I will be allowed.
Taos needs salt art colony.
Yes.
Okay, so they got a flat tire in 1898 near Taos. They were in awe of the natural beauty and intrigued by the Taos Pueblo Indian and Hispanic cultures. And this totally reminded me of the plot line of, what's that Showtime show with, why can't I think? Nathan.
With Nathan Fielder and
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. Yeah, I don't have Showtime, but I have heard it's very, very good.
Oh my God, it's so fucking funny. It sounds like a modern version of this. Yes,
Is it
The Curse.
Yeah.
Yes. It
I
sounds
need
like
to
a
watch
modern
that.
version of this. So they broke down there. They were like, wow, this is a really beautiful area with like really cool, kind, artsy, like vibey people. Let's just like create an artist colony here. So the pair settled there and encouraged other artists to come and join them. Many of the artists who painted in Taos before 1940 had previously met and studied and networked in Paris.
Oh,
So they like already like knew each other.
good for them.
But Taos actually is I have not been there, but I had a friend go there and she is a photographer and she took so many really fucking gorgeous photos. Just like natural
I love
landscape
the Southwest.
wise. It's beautiful.
I want to move to the desert so bad. I want to live in New Mexico or Arizona. Never look back. Never look back like you did to that fucking girl who taught you how to make lizards.
Natalie. Jennifer.
I'm going to leave you like Jennifer and just fucking peace out. And I'm going to move into Taos.
I don't know why I thought I just got my cool card learning how to make the lizards and never looked
Just
back.
needed one. Yeah.
Never looked back. Mom, get me those glitter beads. Because you know they're the beads with the glitter in them.
Yeah. Those are the good beads.
Yes.
Those were
Yeah.
like the rich, cool girl beads.
That was kind of like learning how to code for our generation.
It really was.
It was. It's mathematical. You gotta map it out.
Anyone born
the
after
back legs to the tail, you have to measure.
anyone born after 1995 doesn't really understand that like our like games and trends when we were children
They were so analog.
did not provide us with any usable skills for our future. not a fucking one. What am I doing now with GIMP spiral keychains and fucking beaded lizards? Fuck all is what I'm doing with that.
And like everybody in our age knows how to do that shit, so it's not like it's valuable. You can't sell it on Etsy. You can't monetize it.
Nope.
It's very limited in its application.
So limited. It's tragic. No applicable skills.
Oh my God. Okay, the last art colony is called the Lyme Art Colony. Lyme, as in the disease.
Okay.
This art colony was established in 1899 by painter Henry Ward Ranger in Old Lyme, Connecticut. Are you familiar?
Yikes. No, but like everything in Connecticut is like a half hour away from everything else in Connecticut, so I've probably been near it.
Oh, okay. You were a stone's throw, no matter where you were.
Probably.
By 1903, over 200 artists had made their way to the town, which became known as the home of Impressionism. And by 1921, the artists opened their own cooperative gallery. So old lime, heavy on the Impressionism, obviously not widely celebrated enough to extend beyond old lime, Connecticut. But there were lots of artist colonies in the U.S. around the turn of the century, early 20th century.
Okay.
And that's okay. And we celebrate all of these artists, and probably a lot of them were kind of pricks.
Probably.
Anyway, that's really that's my background and my psych for.
I love it. Well done. Now I want to move to an artist colony so bad.
You'd fit right in.
Oh,
I bet if you were like a CPA, you could move into an artist colony and like do everyone's taxes and just make so much money.
You mean like the general you, not like me? Because I could
not you.
Never become a CPA.
No.
I have that like
no.
I have like number dyslexia thing that comes with ADHD.
No.
My taxes are a mess.
No, yeah. No.
Okay, all right, good. Just making sure we're on the same page about that.
The royal you.
The royal
not
you.
Amanda. Absolutely not Amanda.
One could move to an artist colony as a CPA or bookkeeper and probably do quite well. You are correct about that. Mm-hmm. I'm not the one.
No. Yeah, no.
Glad we cleared that up.
Great. Yeah. No, I wouldn't want to leave that hanging unanswered. No. Never you. No.
Fucking never you, my God. My God.
No. Anyway.
No. Are you ready for my case?
Maybe.
It's a wild one.
No.
This was recommended by our amazing fan picker, and I'm so happy because I learned so much. So I'm just, there's a lot of good photos. So like, get ready to see some fucking art, baby.
Okay. I'm ready.
One thing, among many things that sparks so much joy with this show is just getting to know badasses. And we get to know a badass today. Her name is Ana Mendieta. Ana was an artist, an activist, a hardcore feminist, and her work was constantly overshadowed by that of her more well-known husband, whose work, oh my fucking God, is so fucking mid compared to hers.
Man. Mediocre man.
Literally never meet a man, and this guy, I don't know why he was so popular, and like maybe I just don't get art, but like boo. Fucking boo. And we'll get to it, but like get ready to scream and break things when you see a literal pile of bricks in a gallery. And we will come back to the pile of bricks because I can never recover from the pile of bricks.
A literal pile of bricks?
A literal pile of bricks.
Okay, here we go.
Over this woman's incredibly like evocative and provocative artwork. Anyway, if only overshadowing her work and being a piece of shit was the only thing that he cost her, like the world was robbed of Ana Mendieta. So let's dive in with Project Peter Pan. Do you know what that is?
No.
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
This is the incredibly on-the-nose named operation by the U.S. government to secretly sneak children out of Cuba and into the United States.
Stop.
Ana's parents were a like Cuban power couple.
Were they abducting children?
We're gonna
get to it. Okay.
Her father was an attorney and her mother was a chemist, and they were initially supportive of and fairly friendly with the Castro regime.
Oh, good.
Because as we know about the rise of any kind of like dictatorship or fascism, they kind of start with like, oh no, like we're cool.
Yeah, we connect with the people.
We're just worried about this one thing over here, but like we're cool guys. And then they rope you in and then they get you.
Yeah.
So her parents were well off. They were upper crust. They were like politically well connected. So it would make sense that like Castro's people would want to kind of be in good with them.
Mm-hmm.
And
indoctrinate them.
Yeah. And in the beginning, shit was going really well for them. And Anna was attending a private girls' school. Things were peachy for her. She's getting a great education. Like it's fine. Things are not full-blown fascism, like communist regime yet. But things got way less peachy when the Castro regime and the country in general went into this specific wave of like anti-religious, anti-Catholic sentiment that got bad enough that the Mendietas, who were Catholic, actually started dabbling in counter-revolutionary activities to the point that they got worried about like backlash.
Oh, shit.
So the Castro regime began instituting a policy of patria potestad, which translates to custody, and is a fancy way to say stealing your kids, removing your parental rights, and indoctrinating them into the Communist Party.
Good God.
Yeah, so Project Peter Pan is like a response to that. The Communist Party had already seized control of all of the schools, and there was a very real fear that Anna and her sister Raquel would be taken away and brainwashed, essentially. So they joined Project Peter Pan, which was a joint effort between the Catholic Church and the U.S. government to sneak kids by plane into Miami.
So it was an elective thing.
Yeah.
That involved the parents?
Yeah. Like it was kind of a secret, covert operation to help get kids specifically out of Cuba. And like, by no means am I saying that there is nothing problematic about this plan.
No.
But it is important in the context of the time to acknowledge the fear that people were living in as communism closed in on Cuba and fascism closed in on Cuba. And these were the lengths that people were willing to go to in the hopes of like getting their children to some semblance of safety and freedom in the United States.
So the U.S. wasn't stealing children from Cuba.
No.
Without their parents' consent anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is couched in the guise of being like a rescue mission.
Okay.
So over 14,000 children were Peter Panned into America between 1960 and 1961.
Were they in 1 year?
Yeah.
Where the fuck did they go?
I mean, a lot of them were placed in foster care and stuff.
Oh,
when they got here.
Oh.
So it's just these poor little children flown away to a land with a lot of deeply problematic story beats. Like, this is the most Peter Pan shit fucking ever.
And
so it's really scary.
Okay.
And, you know, these families things are getting really, tumultuous in Cuba. And so these families are getting their children out, like not knowing if they're ever going to see them again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even fucking imagine. I mean, I imagine that
I'm sure
you'll
a lot
go
of them just like disappeared too.
Mm-hmm. I'd imagine you'd go to any lengths to protect your children. That's just like innate. But this is beyond my comprehension of even having to be faced. Like, we are so privileged to never have to think about.
Well, it's, a horrible decision to make. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. So the sisters, Anna and Raquel, did arrive safely in the United States. They spent several weeks in refugee camps, and then they bounced around institutions and foster homes throughout Iowa.
Oh.
So that's likely very similar a story to most of those 14,000 plus kids.
I mean, Iowa is very similar to Cuba.
Basically, the Cuba of the United States is what they call Iowa.
Yeah.
So they did get out of Cuba just in time, or like maybe their parents sent them because they were planning to like ramp up their anti-Castro involvement in like the counter revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Because after they got out, Anna's father had some involvement in the Bay of Pigs disaster and spent 18 years in a political prison.
Oh, wow.
So that was in 1961. The girls don't see their mother or father again until 1966, or their brother. They had a brother too. They don't see him until 1966, and they don't see their father until 1979 when he was released from prison and got to go to America. And then he got here and then he died shortly thereafter. So they waited all those years to see him. He finally makes it to the US and then he dies within like a year.
God.
It's horrifying. So their childhood was riddled with chaos and tragedy, which is heartbreaking and often the recipe for artistic expression.
Yes. Trauma equals art.
Mm-hmm. So Anna, after the shock and trauma of the Peter Panning, readjusts and pours all of her emotions into her art. Specifically, she's really into painting. She gets a BA/MA in painting from the University of Iowa, and then branches out from painting into more experimental stuff, studying under an acclaimed artist named Hans Brüder, with whom she earns her MFA in intermedia. And for those not in the know, intermedia is like the space you explore between art forms, like
I was going to ask though.
dumping paint over a ballet dancer while they recite poetry, or
Wow.
doing a photography collage of a naked lady, but it's also a haiku.
I like that.
Clearly, I am an art genius, and I totally get this.
Yes. I have no questions.
Anna moves to New York in 1978. The city, not the colony, the upstate art colony.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Yep. And despite being a pretty tiny person stature-wise, which like will become relevant to the forensics later, she has a
God.
Yeah. She has a powerful personality. She's got big vision. She's got a huge voice, and she has a lot to fucking say with her art. So with a lot of buzz around her, she does attract the attention of feminist art icons like Nancy Spiro, Mary Beth Edelson, and Carolee Schneemann. And there are some pictures of their work, of these feminist artists' work on the drive for reference that will go in the blog.
Okay.
So she's settling in, she starts making stuff of her own, and she begins to establish herself in the arts community in New York City, which was like New York City in the 1970s. If you were an artist, this was like the place to fucking be. And there are great photos of her work, again, on the drive, which will be on the blog, but it's like kind of needs a trigger warning. It's very intense. It's very challenging. Anna's work centers literally in both medium and subject around like blood and violence. And the blood and violence specifically like done to women and women's bodies.
Oh, wow. Oh, these are beautiful.
They're pretty fucking exquisite and powerful pieces of art.
They're really, really poignant.
She does a lot of photography, a lot of like painting and collage. She does some really cool stuff with florals. I'm obsessed with her work.
I don't know that these are pieces that incorporate herself, but it kind of looks like it. But like artists who have themselves as like the subjects. Yeah, that always is really different. Different.
They're very cool. I mean, there's one where it's multiple panels of her face and she just looks battered. Like her face is covered in like blood and bruises. And that's her. It's shocking to look at, but it's quite beautiful. So, you know, just if you're going to look at the blog, like just know that she's intentionally creating work that's like reflecting her immersion in like ritual, spiritualism, primitivity, and primal expression. And there are depictions of like her using her own and other women's bodies in her work, using a lot of real like animal blood. And it was meant to be very evocative and very confrontational. So if you're not open to seeing imagery like that, she's probably not the artist for you. And she did a lot of performance art, which we'll get to. So the subjects that she was tackling were deeply personal. Most of her work is autobiographical and drawn from her violent displacement from Cuba, the loss of her family. It focused on like the cycles of life and death, of belonging, of identity, violence, patriarchal violence, And so, you know, this shit gets like really intense really quickly. It's deeply personal to her.
Mm-hmm.
And like many artists with a deeply personal message, she was a hardcore activist, initiating projects aimed at reconnecting displaced Cubans and their relatives, making safe spaces for women, and challenging the fuck out of people that were viewing her art. And just a reminder, like, it is powerful work, and creatives are pivotal to liberation work. So, like, fucking support artists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, this is a big part of all of that. So support the arts. But, like, let's talk about the blood. So, Anna.
Let's talk about the blood.
Let's. You want to talk about the husband? Let's talk about the husband. Talk about the
husband.
The husband. Anna used a lot of blood in her work.
Well,
the first big use of it was in a work called Death of a Chicken, which was one of her performance pieces. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
She stood naked in front of a white wall holding a freshly decapitated chicken. She didn't I don't think cutting the chicken's head off was part of the actual piece, but it was clear that that had just happened. And its body was still moving like a chicken does, and it splattered blood all over her, all over the wall. And this is obviously controversial. It clearly gives me feelings of discomfort, like, as someone who obviously cares about animals. I'm sure it does for many people listening. But
but you eat chicken.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the whole point of her work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to dig deeper here, because part of what she's doing is forcing us to go deeper. And if we're too hung up on how we feel about an animal that most of us eat every day being killed for art in the same manner that they are killed to be eaten by the millions without us batting an eye. But
maybe more humanely.
Right. But can't muster those same feelings of outrage or discomfort for the subject of her work, which is humans, especially women, being slaughtered around the world and in our own backyards every day.
Mm-hmm.
If we're getting hung up on the chicken, then that tells us that we have deeper work to do. And this is the kind of provocative shit that art can stir up in us if we're willing to dig deeper than our just initial reactions. You really have to sit with it.
Thinking about it, coming to your own conclusions, and teaching yourself that lesson.
Why is this making me so uncomfortable? Is it because I don't want to see harm done to an animal, but then I'm stopping there and I'm not thinking about the harm that's being done to my fellow humans?
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to dig deeper about this. Another notable work was her Moffat Building piece in 1973, where she poured cow blood and viscera on the sidewalk in front of a downtown Iowa apartment building and carefully documented the reactions of people as they passed by in photograph.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. So she did a lot of immersive performance art stuff that she did a little bit later in her career. Anna also made work in response to tragedy in her local community. So in 1973, Sarah Ann Ottens was a female student in Iowa who was attacked in her Rhino Hall room in Iowa City, I think at the University of Iowa, which is the same college that Anna herself had graduated from.
That's where my sister graduated from.
There you go. Sarah was assaulted and suffocated to death in her own dorm room. And after the attack, Anna created a piece as a reaction entitled Rape Scene. In the performance, Mendieta invited friends and other students to visit her in her Moffat Street apartment, but when they arrived, they found Mendieta's apartment door ajar. Upon entering the apartment, viewers were confronted with the image of Mendieta naked from the waist down, smeared with blood, bent over, and bound to a table with broken objects and bloodied clothes scattered about her, recreating the look of an attack. Mendieta remained in that position for over an hour, after which her observers sat down and talked about the work. Mendieta recalls that after encountering her body, her audience, quote, all sat down and started talking about it. I didn't move. I stayed in position for about an hour. It really jolted them. Now, it's unclear to me how much warning her friends and audience were given with their invite to come over. I assume enough that they almost immediately recognize this as an art installation. Either they just know her well enough to be okay, Anna, this is art, fairly quickly. Because otherwise, if your friends come over and see this and don't immediately call 911, then your friends are kind of shitty if they didn't know that it was art and just assumed it was. So I think
there must have been some indications if it wasn't like an outright trigger warning, which is, I feel like a pretty like a modern.
I'm choosing to believe that in the invitation it was like, come over and see my new work. Like, come see my new art installation. It's at my house. And they came over and this was it.
And or she just gave that invitation to people who kind of knew what she was about. Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise that could start panic.
Yeah.
But again,
I'm sure there was something in place there.
Yeah. But that case, by the way, the Sarah Ann Auden's case is so fucking infuriating. Like, they found who did it. It was another student who was arrested. He was tried and he was convicted with like DNA and fingerprint evidence. But he later successfully appealed and released because there was prosecutorial misconduct. Like the prosecution knowingly withheld evidence for some reason. And so he got out on a loophole. He was later rearrested and convicted, but only because while he was out on a loophole, he strangled to death another woman named Susan Hayek years later.
Cool. So she's dead because of these fuckers.
Fucks. Yep.
Oh,
because the justice system fucked up and put an actually violent criminal back out on the street who killed another woman and got arrested again.
And this just puts more importance on this woman's work. Like, wow. Yeah. Fucking wow.
So that, in a nutshell, is the kind of work she did. Very confrontational, emotional, evocative work. It's rooted in feminism. And, like, this is not the first time I have said it. It won't be the last. Like, if only she was gay. And I don't say this because I'm attracted to her. I say this because she would, like many of us, be better off having never met a man. A man ruined her fucking life.
Don't let the men have any access to her.
No.
Oh.
So enter this motherfucker. Through mutual friends at Air Gallery in New York City, she met Carl Andre at a solo show of her photographs. So it's one of Anna's galleries in 1979. Carl was a big name in minimalist sculpture at the time and also just like a super gross, creepy looking dude. And if you will direct your attention to pile of bricks and wooden blocks about waist high on the drive/blog, you'll see exactly what the fuck I mean. Like, look at this guy and then look at Anna. This stunning icon.
Oh.
That fucking guy.
Oh, my gut wrenches just for that.
Yeah.
That disparity.
It's not great.
And I'm assuming he's a terrible trash human being.
Yeah, yes, he is. We're allowed to hate him and his like creepy, scraggly hair.
I immediately hate him. I hate his bricky blocks that he calls art. I mean, it's not revelatory.
We're about to get really deep into the bricks because I went the fuck off.
He's not making any political statements with like cow's blood.
It gets so much worse. So he was 13 years her senior, but despite the age gap, they began dating, and almost immediately their relationship was a shit show, like just real bad. So this is a summary put together from friend statements in The Guardian. It said, quote, "Their relationship intrigued some of their friends and baffled others. She was feisty and opinionated, small and sexy. He came across as cold and detached, his towering presence as formidable as his intellectual aloofness," which is just fancy speak for he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah, it sounds like a fucking asshole.
He needed a fucking haircut and a shower. Quote, "Carl and Anna were very different personalities, and that is what attracted them to each other," says the Argentinian artist Liliana Porter, a friend of Mendieta. "Carl was very methodical in his daily life, following routines, and Anna was the opposite. He liked her strong personality, her looks, and her intensity, and she enjoyed his company and in some way needed a more mature and steady point of reference." Creatively, though, their art practices could not have been further apart. Hers was wide-ranging, elemental, and ritualistic. He was a minimalist whose work was refined and cerebral, I guess you could describe it as. Again, maybe I just don't get art, but there's like nothing cerebral about the pile of bricks.
Yeah. There are many words for specific things.
So this is his most famous work, is that arrangement of 120 bricks. And he did arrange this at the Tate in Britain. And like, again, about these fucking bricks, I will never get over it. When he sold this piece, it arrived at the buyer's house as a pile of bricks with like IKEA instructions on how to put them together into a rectangle. Like, can you imagine as the buyer opening that and being like, what the actual fuck? These are just bricks. I have to put them together myself.
They're like bricks, or they're the wood blocks?
The bricks.
Those white things?
Yes, just that white rectangle of bricks was sent as like a jumbled bag of bricks.
What a fucking ass.
Where arguably the only transformative aspect of the work itself is that the artist arranged the bricks in a specific way, and now they just send it to you in a bag, and you have to put them together, and the buyer was like, what the fuck? So they sent the bricks back, but the bricks got damaged and had to be replaced with more bricks. I'll never get over these stupid fucking bricks. I hate these fucking bricks. If I never see a fucking brick again, it'll be too goddamn soon.
I'm sorry, but also this portrait of him.
Oh.
All right, I'm not hairline shaming, but I am, because he's a bad person.
He's a bad person, and there does come a point where it's like, honey, just let it go. You don't need the little wispies in the front and then a huge gap and then your back scraggly ring of long hair. And I mean, the beard.
Don't have long hair if you're completely bald on top.
He looks like Charles Manson, but like worse somehow.
Way worse. Charles Manson after several years of prison.
He has those like kind of dead eyes.
Yep.
It's not.
He's looking like he thinks he's better than you, no matter who you are.
There's no warmth or like humanity in him at all when I look at him. He freaks me the fuck out.
He's a dick.
So it is one of the ironies of her early death, Anna's early death, that her star was in the ascendancy as he was entering a period in which like demand for his work was falling down super hard and the prices of his work were plummeting.
Weird.
Yeah. So like oftentimes when they were a little drunk, because they were drinkers together, she would kind of taunt him about this, once saying, quote, Carl, minimalism is over. You already did your thing.
Well,
I love it. But unfortunately, the shade was real, but he would respond in kind. Quote, they drank a lot, remembers artist Ted Victoria. They would arrive around here for dinner with 4 or 5 bottles of champagne. There were arguments, mostly started by Anna. She was combative. She could bring out stuff that would really piss you off. That was just how she was when she was drunk. She had a lot of attitude. Anna did a residency in Rome for 2 years while they were together, and they did get some much needed distance from one another. She was in Rome, and I think he was in Berlin. But apparently absence did make the heart grow fonder, because they reunited in 1985 and got married in a small ceremony in Rome. Yep. And then returned to New York, moving into Carl's 34th floor apartment at 300 Mercer Street. She was reportedly not pumped about moving into this apartment because it was up so high and she was terrified of heights.
Oh, honey.
But she moved into the place anyway because, like, these are the things we do for love.
Yeah.
So once they were reunited and married, their relationship went right back to being tempestuous, and she was complaining about him enough to her friends and family that they were becoming increasingly concerned about her safety. She started drinking more and more heavily. The two were fighting constantly. So then it was a cycle. She would drink more. It was a huge fucking mess. It was a disaster, and it was going nowhere good real fast. At the time that she confided in a friend of hers that she had suspicions of that Carl had cheated on her while she was in Rome and he was in Berlin. And later she would allege that she discovered not one, but two different mistresses and started collecting evidence and documentation of the affairs to use to like bolster her case in a divorce because she wanted to divorce him. But he didn't know that she knew this, and he didn't know that she wanted to get a divorce.
Can I just say that I love when like a jilted lover starts documenting?
Mm-hmm.
Create a folder.
There's nothing better.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing better. Get those receipts, baby, and get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. Build your case, get that money, and get the fuck out.
So Anna apparently made getaway plans and was readying herself to move into her own place, which was on the second floor of a different building. Just remember that fear of heights. So she was looking at a place.
The first floor. The first floor is too close.
Too close. Mm-hmm. So she's looking at a second floor walk up on 6th Avenue.
Beautiful.
Cut. I know, right? Super cute. Cut to September 8th, 1985. Anna talks with a lawyer friend of hers who advised her to confront Carl about the affairs and end the marriage. Sort of a like, maybe you can come to a resolution without having to go to trial situation. Be like, listen, I know you cheated. I just want to get a divorce. I want to get the fuck out of here. Let's go.
A little less ugly.
She tells the lawyer friend that she's too scared to confront him because he is a vengeful person and has a huge temper. So Anna and Carl are at home like a few days after this conversation, I guess. They order Chinese food. They start drinking wine. You know, the wine and Chinese food go together like fucking wine and crime, let me tell you. Mm-hmm. After getting into their like evening drinking, Anna, calls a friend named Natalia Delgado and tells her about her plans to divorce Carl, but she does it entirely in Spanish so that like Carl doesn't understand what she's saying. So Anna and Natalia are having like a lively Spanish conversation on the phone.
At a certain point, you can
about
tell
divorcing Carl right in front of him.
Divorce his stupid ass.
In their one bedroom New York apartment, she's just telling her about everything, which I fucking am obsessed with. She's talking about the mistress. She's talking about how they're fighting. She's talking about how she had collected phone transcripts of Carl talking to other women.
Oh, damn.
Like she was ready to fucking roll on him. She was going to take his ass down in court. But sometime after this phone call, Carl and Anna started to argue so loudly that the neighbors could hear their entire conversation through the walls, and said the fight escalated more intensely than anything that they had heard before, because they'd heard these two yelling at each other before. It just hadn't been this bad.
He could probably get the gist of what she was saying in Spanish.
I'm sure he could. The blow-by-blow from the neighbors was that they drank a ton of wine, they watched TV, they fought, they started like flipping furniture, like they could hear everything. It was messy. Whoa. And that it went on through the night until about 5:30 in the morning, and then things got quiet. Down on the street below, the night of this fight, the doorman hears something weird. He hears a woman yelling, "No, no, no." And then seconds later, he hears a loud thud.
No. No.
Yep.
No, 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 no.
It's real bad. It's fucking bad.
She's afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Ana Mendieta had plummeted 33 stories onto the roof of a deli in the first floor of the building.
Like on the awning?
Mm-hmm. So some sources claim that a 911 call from Carl came in nearly immediately after the fall, like around 5:30 in the morning. But he would later say he only noticed she was gone when he went to bed. And then when he got to bed, then when he got on the phone with the 911 operator, he said, quote, "My wife is an artist. I'm an artist. And we had a quarrel about the fact that I was more exposed to the public than she was. And she went to the bedroom and I went after her and she went out the window." So he's already telling different stories of what happened.
She went out the window.
Which we'll get to it.
Oh my God.
When the police arrived, they noted that Carl had scratches on his nose and arms deep enough to draw blood. The question was, like, were those sustained in their fight or in, like, a struggle at the window?
He had a mosquito bite. He was itchy.
Well, that's actually a better excuse than the one he tried to give. He said that the scratches were from a gust of wind blowing a door closed in his face a week ago before his wife died, even though they were, like, fresh when the cops got there.
You're actively bleeding, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's giving the same vibe as the guy in that cruise ship case who said his wife was blown overboard by a gust of wind. Was she a kite?
Was she a kite?
It's my wife is a kite. Like, fuck you, dude. No one's fucking buying it.
Have had more than 5 seconds to come up with a story, an alibi,
right?
anything.
This is
the best you can do. Also, you're a creative. You're an artist. What the fuck?
You know what?
He's
Arguable, though,
minimalist.
because pile of fucking bricks
that
sent in a bag.
Well, minimal effort went into that fucking story.
I hate
fucking
him.
Idiot.
So on the scene, and granted, he was drunk and probably a little traumatized, but like, we're not giving him any fucking
none
leg room here. The police asked him to recount events, and he said that they fought and that after that they watched a movie and she wanted to go to bed and wanted him to go with her, but he didn't want to go. And then I guess he said to the police, well, if that's what she wanted, then maybe I did kill her then.
What?
Yeah, he's just like rambling, drunk.
Fucking
And police were questioning the timing of the 911 call, basically saying like, well, you should have called around 4 a.m. instead of 5:30 in the morning. Because, like, that's when she went out the window, I guess.
Went out the window.
Yeah. They're speculating, but, like, I also couldn't find a good source on the time of death. One source suggested she fell around 4. Another said, like, she died around 5:30. And the 5:30 timing could just be based on the 911 call alone. I don't know. But I think I'm leaning toward 4 a.m. and that he waited to call.
It's kind of weird to me that she would have plummeted 33 stories and landed on a deli roof thing, and no one else would have called.
I think there were multiple 911 calls. It's just specifically they were focusing on when he called the police. Given that he was in the building, in the apartment after she went through the window, they're like, well, why the fuck didn't you call the police at 4? Why did you wait to call us until 5:30 when like police are already on their way?
But there wasn't an established like other people called the cops. That's when she definitely fell out the window.
I think it was so late at night that the only person who even like saw her or heard her scream and then heard the crash was the doorman who wasn't necessarily standing outside. So he also may not have like gone out and investigated right away. It's fucking New York. It's 4 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Like there's plausible deniability to me around how many 911 calls would have come in at that time of night.
What like year was this again?
85.
Okay. So it's not like there's like CCTV and cell phones and all that
probably
stuff.
Not. There was probably some CCTV, but that didn't come up anywhere.
Not as ubiquitous.
Yep. As you would expect now. Yeah.
Okay.
But then, so like, there's all this weird back and forth about the 911 call. And then he says he didn't notice she was missing until he went to bed. And then when he was confronted about how his statements don't make sense and like, this isn't looking good for you, dude, then he starts like backtracking. So he's just all over the place. Police observed the scene, finding evidence of heavy drinking, and also noted that the window was very high up. And it seemed unlikely that Anna would have even been able to get through it on her own without a chair. Like, she's 4'11". She's tiny.
Her up. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
At the scene, Carl kept talking about how jealous Anna was of his success and fame, and noted that he made calls to cancel upcoming dinner plans, but made no efforts to contact Anna's family to let them know that she had died. Like, this guy is a nightmare. While the police were still present on the scene, Natalia Delgado, Anna's friend, who she had been on the phone with in Spanish earlier in the evening, got worried and called her back to check up on her. And allegedly, Carl picked up the phone and told Natalia that Anna couldn't come to the phone, but he'd tell her that she'd called. While the police are there investigating the scene of his wife's death. I'll let her know you called.
I know all this is like circumstantial, but
it's not looking good, babe.
No. No.
And this next bit is not well corroborated, but like we could take it with a pinch of salt and also like fuck Carl, so whatever. Natalia called back later after Carl had been placed under arrest and was being questioned about this and was surprised when Carl's lawyer answered the phone at their apartment. And there were accusations that this phone call could have happened after the scene had been sealed and that Carl had sent his lawyers to the apartment to destroy evidence, namely the materials that Anna had been collecting to use against him in the divorce. Because
like he called his lawyers like before the cops.
Yep. And a lot of that stuff that she claimed to have been putting together has never been found and wasn't included at trial because they never found it.
Oh my God. That's like the O.J. Simpson briefcase thing.
Yep. That's funny that you mentioned O.J. Simpson because we'll kind of get to that too.
Oh.
Well, there's like a brief mention, but the process and investigation of this crime took 2 years. Carl was indicted 3 times before finally going to trial, and Carl was charged with second-degree murder and spent a very uncomfortable night in Rikers Island before his art dealers and artists.
One very uncomfortable night.
One night. And then his art dealer and artist friends put together his $250,000 bail, and he was able to await the rest of his trial comfortably at home, which should be an innate fucking right for nonviolent criminals.
But not this guy.
He got out because he's connected to money even after he fucking threw his wife out a window. So fuck me. There are people still in Rikers awaiting trial for marijuana offenses.
A stolen backpack, maybe.
Yep. But like this fucking guy got to go home. Anyway, I'll never not be mad.
No.
So Carl made the very unusual move of requesting a bench trial, which means he waived his right to a jury and would be tried by a judge alone. And after waiting all of this time for justice, the like feminist artist community was fucking livid because not only had it taken years for them to even get to trial, now not a single woman would be part of the process of judging Carl.
So the judge was a man?
The decision would be made by a single skeptical white man.
Oh.
In a room full of men, he was represented by men. The state prosecution was men.
Judged by a man.
Judged by a man.
I don't even want to know how I need to know, but also just like looking back at her artwork, I'm looking in your folder, which will be on the blog, all of this stuff about violence against women.
And then she was thrown out a window.
I'm fearful for how this case ends because, I mean, even if it doesn't end the way that I'm afraid that it does, it does.
Yep.
She's dead. It already ended.
Yep. And also, don't worry, the way that you're fearful it ends is also spot on.
Okay, great.
Yep.
This man with his Jenga fucking bricks.
And his shitty hairline and his fucked up beard. Yeah, fuck this guy. So the defense strategy was fucking disgusting. It relied heavily on overt racism and misogyny, deflecting from Carl's conflicting and suspicious statements. And it focused on painting Anna as a wild drunk with like a feisty Latina temper.
Oh,
yes,
the Latina temper.
They focused on Anna's high blood alcohol content at the time of her death, essentially stating that she was so wasted and emotionally out of control that in a fit of rage and emotion, she threw herself to her death. And this is why women can't be president.
But
we're
her
too
emails.
emotional.
But Anna's emails.
Yeah. The defense claimed Carl's defense claimed her use of blood and soil and flowers was a sign of a subconscious desire to kill herself. They held up images of her covered in dirt and blood and mud as apparent dry runs for her suicide.
They brought her artwork into this?
Yep.
Oh my God.
They also used her interest in occultism, ritual, and Santeria as a boogeyman, proving her unstable, unwell mental state.
Oh.
They relied heavily on Mendieta's interest in indigenous occult practices and beliefs like Santeria, which is very much like an Afro-Latino polytheistic religion. You know, not what the white Christian Anglo-Saxon
No.
public in the West is used to.
Take a beat to try to understand what it's actually founded on.
Nope.
It's not like scary, witchy, like creepy shit.
It's cultural practice that includes like rituals that honor the dead, but like almost every religious practice has rituals like that. But they insisted that an interest in such matters meant Mendieta was mentally unstable, and even suggested that she could have killed herself as part of a Santeria ritual. Some like satanic panic move. Bullshit.
Oh my God.
They spent extensive time painting her as a, quote, crazy Cuban, bringing in art experts and curators to claim that her work showed, quote, a ritualistic death wish.
No, don't use her art again. No, I can't.
The art she made to call out like exactly what's happening here was being used to enact these atrocities against her in terms of her ever seeing justice.
If ever there was a case for haunting.
Seriously, haunt the... well, we'll get to it, but...
Okay.
After the doorman testified that he had indeed heard that no from above him before the fall, the defense for Carl then accused him of a history of mental health issues to discredit him.
The doorman.
Yeah, they're gaslighting the doorman, who has like nothing to do with anything. He just is an important witness to corroborate that he heard that sound. In summation, Carl's lawyer said, quote, she went to the window to open it. She got up on that sill to open it. She slammed the window open with both hands, her body swiveling, and she lost her balance. She hurled out of the window accidentally, laying the groundwork for the whole thing to be an accident in case the self-defenestration for purposes of blood magic, witchcraft, or racism didn't work. So it's like, if those approaches didn't work, she was just a drunk crazy lady who fell out a window. This is on her.
Yeah. If it wasn't a spell, it was an accident. It's got to be one of those.
She was hysterical.
Oh.
So the prosecution stuck to the facts. Like, the window was too fucking high for her. She's only like 4'10", 4'11". It would have been super awkward for an intoxicated woman to try to kill herself, and similarly, like, climb up there drunk is hard anyway, but like the windowsill was like at her shoulder level. No. So how the fuck is she climbing up there? There was no chair by the window.
Upper body strength?
He does. There you go. Anna's friends hammered home over and over again her fear of heights, and that her willingly climbing up on a windowsill was absurd. They didn't believe for 1 second that were Anna to make the devastating choice to end her life, that she would have done it like this. No. She would have been too scared.
She would have found a way more creative way to do that.
Yeah, she would have made it art. The prosecution remained focused on the factors of this case. There's opportunity. They were alone in the apartment. There were signs of them fighting. There were means. Their size difference meant he could have easily overpowered her and lifted her up and out of the window. There was motive. The upcoming divorce, which she was well prepared for and would have completely like steamrolled him and could have financially devastated him because he cheated. However, no evidence that he knew of the upcoming divorce was allowed by the judge to be admitted into this trial, and none of the materials that Anna was gathering were ever able to be found.
Because the fucking lawyer took them away.
Yup. I fully believe that.
Yes,
I fully believe that Carl sent his lawyer to scrub that apartment.
Of course.
Because that really does remove like pretty much the only solid motive in this case. And without motive, it is hard to convict.
Oh, Jesus.
Carl's ex-wives, of which there were several, despite speaking about abusive behavior from him in the past, refused to testify against him at trial. And frankly, I don't blame them, because fear is a powerful motivator to stay silent.
Yeah,
they were too scared.
Stay where you are.
Yep. Anna's friends and family were in strong attendance, but to protect, his own ego or to just gatekeep information, Carl insisted that his own supporters not attend the trial, probably because he thought he wouldn't come out smelling like a rose. In February of 1988, Carl was acquitted, sparking an uproar in the feminist art world, and remains a massively controversial ruling This was definitely a flashpoint of like gender and race politics in the justice system and has often been compared to the OJ trial in its explosiveness.
There we go.
Yep.
I am infuriated.
It's so fucked up.
It is shocking. I mean,
yeah.
Especially looking at her artwork, like looking at her pieces.
Yeah.
And looking at his.
Yeah. This was her worst nightmare that she created so much provocative art around, like, come to life in her own intimate relationship.
This says, it speaks a lot to victimhood and who can be a victim. And someone who's gone through all of this, who sees it exactly the way that it is.
And it's definitely
fucking window. And her fear of heights.
Yeah, there's no fucking way. She shouldn't jump out of a fucking window.
Well, I mean, just the whole thing is just like so. I don't think poetic is the right word. It's so ironic. It's so heartbreaking.
It's so heartbreaking. And it definitely is one of those cases that highlights the problematic approach of like needing to be the perfect victim.
Yes.
Because like Anna wasn't perfect. We're not fucking perfect. It doesn't mean that we deserve to be thrown out of a fucking window and for our assailant to be acquitted because you question some of our behaviors. Like there's no justice in that.
This is one of the worst cases that
Yeah. It's bad.
It's bad.
Carl's case records were sealed after his acquittal due to New York law, and it is unclear if they will be unsealed because he just died like a month ago. And so possibly following his death, some of this information could be unsealed, but we don't know yet.
Oh my God.
Yup. So fuck you, Carl.
Bye.
Protests under the slogan, "Where is Ana Mendieta?" elevated her work and stalled Carl's further rise within the artistic circles. Like his goose was cooked after this.
His Jenga blocks were cooked.
They're
not good.
They're not fucking good.
They don't say anything.
They're
boring and bland and stupid, just like your fucking head.
Yeah, fuck you, Carl.
Fuck him. He'll be rots and piss.
He is definitely rotting in piss. 25 years later, Carl forwarded a new theory about Anna's death, stating that she was closing the window due to a sudden drop in temperature, and she fell. But according to cataloged meteorological data, this temperature drop...
It's easy to prove, you fucking idiot.
The drop didn't occur. Like, forensic fucking meteorology, bitch. That didn't fucking happen.
I love our forensic meteorology episode, though.
I do, too. Despite Carl being a piece of shit, his art continued to be shown in major museums. It was included in the Venice Biennale in 2013. There was another like retrospective art foundation in 2014 that showed it. And that Venice showcase is one of the world's biggest art exhibitions, and he was still fucking in it.
Good. Great. That's
but
great.
As of literally right now in 2024, Ana Mendieta has received no such honors for her incredible work. And over a decade later, the judge that acquitted him told a journalist that the verdict was in part due to the limits of allowable evidence and, quote, administrative bungling by the district attorney and the police, and that he thought Carl, quote, probably did it.
Oh,
but they just couldn't convict him.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yep. I know.
No justice.
None. So yeah, that's the case. I wanted to end this with that note that I mentioned at the top from our fan picker Maddie, who said that like one of their professors in art school, like one of their art history professors, said this about Carl. And Maddie says, this is paraphrased, but here we go. Quote, "Even though Carl encourages you to step and walk over his artwork because that is the whole concept of it, you should do it not to please him, but because he is garbage."
He is fucking
Just
garbage.
Walk on by, babe. Yeah, he's fucking garbage.
Oh my God.
Garbage.
Also, the rage that Anna, I'm sure, felt personally, went through from her childhood with all that shit and creating this art and all the blood and all the passion and emotion
and
behind
this
it.
This
and
is how it ends.
This is how she fucking dies.
This is how she dies.
I'm incensed.
Yeah. I'm putting more of her art on the drive because it's so fucking incredible and so cool. And she's just such a badass. And I want to like really highlight how much better an artist she was than this fucking guy. She just was so much better than him.
I bet you her performance art was amazing.
Really amazing. Really like earth-shattering. It's truly a tragedy that we will never get to see more pieces from her. It's really fucking sad.
Oh, this looks like a stone river thing with like red.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a woman's body with like red on the bottom half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm putting some more of the blood work.
Damn. It's oh no.
Yeah, she was an incredible artist.
There's also this one with like 6 images, and it looks like there's like a piece of glass in front of her, and she's like smushing her face against the glass in different ways. Not to be dark, but like the fact that she was thrown out of a window and she died from like hitting the ground. Oh.
Yeah. The protest photos that I'm putting up are so sad.
Jesus.
I mean, the community really was just rocked by this. It's really fucking tragic.
Oh,
anyway,
wow.
Enjoy the art and, thank you. Big thanks to Maddie.
Big thanks to Maddie.
I mean, this story is really tragic, but I am grateful to have been guided toward it because I don't think I would know much about this incredible artist and her story at all. She was dead before we were born.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely not. And I think that like most artist stories go
untold,
underserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So God bless her and
thanks, Maddie.
Thank you, Maddie.
This is horrible and fuck you,
lot.
Carl.
Yeah, fuck you, Carl.
I will be walking all over your Jenga blocks.
Yeah. Eat my blocks, Carl.
Underperforming.
Like most men.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
well,
we did it.
That was fun. We will we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.